Hey everyone. Tonight we're going to be talking to an absolute legend and who has amazing stories to tell and has been like an incredibly supportive person in my life, and that's Alan McGee, who runs Creation Records. A lot of people would know him from there. Bring him in now. Hey,
How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, it's 90 odd degrees here.
It's hot.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We've got the weather, you haven't.
No,
For once,
it's cold.
for once, man.
Oh my God. And you're wearing a jumper?
Yeah, it's a t-shirt.
Oh, I can't see.
Yeah, it's 90 degrees. It's too warm, man. You know what I mean?
I can tell. Not as warm as like when you were over here, though, right? That was hot.
This is a bit as warm as Australia was because I was in Perth and it was
Yeah,
about. It was actually not too bad, really. It was only about. It was in the early 80s. It was great for February, man. You know, I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the end of your summer, though, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
It
man.
kind of it kind of ends like March-ish. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
yeah. So now we're in autumn. No, actually, I think we're now in just going into winter.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it's just a bit, but that's why I faded so fast in the UK. That cold
Oh,
weather.
don't worry. Fine. Yeah, I mean, I was away in and out anyway. That was just at the beginning of this whole coronavirus thing, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it was.
I
Yeah,
had hand sanitizer, thinking, no, like, better watch what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Now you got to come over and then back, and
Yeah.
then this all this shit happened. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, we've known each other for a while now.
Yeah, man.
Um, quite a while, and yeah, you've always been like such an awesome inspiration and supporter, and just always encouraging of whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, always. And even when I still remember, and I was recounting this to a friend. I still remember when I first moved to the UK, and I started that first day of work in Bath. You called me at like 9 a.m. and I answered the phone, and this fast Scottish accent, hey, blah, blah, blah. And you were like, anything you need, blah, blah, blah. And I still remember, yeah, I still remember that to this day. And you were you've always been such an amazing support, and I've always been able to count on you before I lived there and afterwards.
Did
So
you phone me once and I'll not phone you? Nobody phones anything anymore. But did you ask me once to hook you up with Courtney? Did that ever happen? Do you
you
remember?
did it. You did it. Yeah.
Did you email her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then
Did
she
she
did
get
a,
back to you?
yeah, she did. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember because I said to you about it, and you posted on because me and Courtney were friends on Facebook or whatever. And
I don't think she's
because
on it anymore.
she's on it, but she's like deleted like pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
everyone. Yeah, because everyone, I think, people were copying and posting shit that she was saying or whatever.
There's a good funny story about that, Renee, because she she added my daughter, who was about
Yeah,
it's now a whole fan weirdly, right? But well, not that weird.
yeah,
A 19-year-old girl would be probably if they got it going on, they probably would like Hole. But but when she was about 14, she added Charlie, and then about 2 years later. Charlie, I said, was talking about Courtney Love, blah, blah, blah. And I went, she's your Facebook friend. And Charlie was like, oh, is it the real one? I just assumed it was like the tribute act. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like, my daughter was like, oh, because she was obviously thinking, why would Courtney Love be my friend? You know what I mean? But Courtney Love's pretty cool, to be fair. She's
yeah. That
not,
is cool.
she's
Like
not what people call, really.
no, like I remember because I think how it happened was me and Courtney were following each other when Pinterest first begun. You know that Pinterest? And
Yeah.
it was when we were both obsessed with like, you know, looking at all the same kooky clothes and like all
Yeah.
the weird stuff. And she used to send me dresses and things on there or whatever. And then I remember adding, I think I was following her or something, and then I said something to you about you need to like hook me up with Courtney, and she's coming here to tour, you know, whatever. And I remember you literally wrote under in one of her statuses, "Hi, like Courtney, this is Renee. You need to be friends." And then I
That
got
was
a
morning actually. She's in London. She's done the lockdown
yeah.
in London.
She's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
in London, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I got a friend request from her, which
But
was, and I was like, oh my God, amazing. And yeah, and she did a mixtape for me like you did.
yeah, she's pretty nice. You know what I mean? It's like, I
I
mean,
think she
I think it's like everybody. The public image is not the reality. Do you know what I mean? I've only ever known her to be pretty nice. You know what I mean?
yeah, and she was always really lovely to me whenever I spoke to her.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when I when I asked her to do the mixtape, you know how I say, oh, you know, give me about 12 songs, whatever. Not Courtney. It goes into the wee hours of the night, and I'm up to like song 30, and I had to like say, hey, that's enough now. It's I've got plenty. But yeah, no,
And
yeah, and like
what's the Melbourne like? I was talking to somebody who lives down there, and they were saying that the lockdown's getting reimposed. Is that
yeah,
correct?
in
Yeah,
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 in some states, like so in Melbourne, like we had the lockdown ease
yeah.
and then 2.5 weeks later, everybody stuffed it up and went out hanging out and doing whatever, and so now they've put it back on. So now they've deferred like a bunch of things until
Yeah.
July 13. So
Yeah, I think it's
yeah,
crazy. The Tories really have not been in top yet the whole way through it. And loads of
yeah,
things have been wrong in Britain, but they never imposed it early enough. And they got the old care home people that were in hospital with it, kicked
yeah,
them out, put them back in the care home. That's why we get so many deaths. I'm not
yeah,
on. They haven't got the track and trace thing, which everybody said from the beginning. You've got to get that sorted to control the virus. And now
yeah,
we're I mean, I don't think the truth is, I don't think there's much virus around at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because see when it first happened for me, I was like, I'm not sure I was that savvy to what you do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it
yeah,
took me about 2 or 3 weeks to really go, oh, you know, leave the shoes at the door, like wash the food and, blah, blah, blah. I was a little bit lax, I was washing my hands, so I'd got that part. And,
yeah,
and I had stayed in the flat just about, because it was, weather was crap and, and like, I live in my own here, so it's a bit like, I thought, but I didn't get it because I was going in and out the supermarket two or three times a day, getting stuff, coming back,
yeah,
shopping
yeah,
here as well,
yeah,
in a block of flats. Could he go out? And so I was doing quite a bit, and I didn't get it, and that kind of suggests to me that it might not be quite as contagious as we all think it is. I don't want to get it at all. I think it's utterly real, and I'm not a conspiracy person at all. And if you get it, I think it's going to really make you ill. So I accept all that. But I just think that I was a bit oblivious to it just in the first month, and I was a little
mm,
bit lax, to which I'm not anymore. You know what I mean? I'm quite
yeah, yeah. Well, I think
I didn't
everyone
get
kind of
it.
was. Because
Was
we didn't
that?
really, I think everyone was, because
Yeah, I don't know.
we didn't really know like what we were meant to be doing. Like I
Yeah,
remember my housemate was like, "Oh, you've got to wash
the
all the
food.
food." Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Do we? Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Like everyone's touching
But it
it,
took me
picking
two or
it."
three weeks to work it out because I was sitting in this wee table having my food, and then it was in the, I think it was a cold pasta dish I was eating or something that I bought in Sainsbury's across the road, right? Because I live right at Tower Bridge. And I was touching it and then suddenly went, but you go to the shop to wash your hands if you pick something up. You've got that bit right. But you brought this thing home, but maybe somebody touched this. So I was like, oh.
Already, yeah,
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 so it was about 2 or 3 weeks I hadn't worked it out the logical things that you definitely don't do. And then I started washing everything and leaving the shoes at the door, and then eventually I got to about mid-April and I hadn't got it, and then suddenly I was like, I'm probably not going to get it. Do you know what I mean?
You've really made leaps and bounds in your health though.
Yeah,
Like
man. Yeah. I know. I
like
know.
I remember when we were first like talking. I remember you were ill. You had some issues with your
I
stomach
know.
and
I
like
was,
yeah,
I was really out at one point at colitis.
yeah, yeah. And I remember you were
I
yeah. So
still got colitis. It's just you don't think you don't. It's like it doesn't really go away. You're prone to it. I've just changed my diet, and now I
mm,
don't eat meat and don't
yeah, because
drink
you
coffee, and I don't.
yeah.
I got off booze and drugs ages ago anyway. So, but I changed all that, and I'm pretty healthy living. But once you've had a moment with colitis, like it's like my stomach still kind of goes like that, and then you know, so
Yeah.
it's still got a wee belly on me that I'd love to get rid of. It. That's what it is. You know, what can you do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like it's a guy thing anyway. You get that little bit of a
I don't
belly.
even think it is that much dieting. I think with me, it's literally inflammation from
It probably is, yeah.
colitis. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm starting to kind of get my head around. You know,
You might be able to get like there might be something natural you can take to help with the
maybe. Yeah.
inflammation,
Yeah, I
you
was
know.
researching it yesterday. I've just got to eat more salad and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm heading down similar track as well. I've got something wrong with as
your health?
well.
How's your health? Because I know you
Yeah,
have good moments.
yeah. I got really ill right before that, right when COVID was happening, and
Yeah, yeah.
I got really sick and got ear infections and basically I got an infection in everything you can possibly get an infection. It all just happened at once, and so yeah, I was in bed for 2 weeks or something, and yeah, now I've just had CT scan with the dye and all that and
Yeah.
bloods and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow actually to get the results because they think it's yeah, it could be IBS or colitis or yeah, something like that as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like just you
Yeah, that colitis thing crazy, you know. I mean, it's just like, I mean, but you know what? I was kind of doomed before I start because I was
yeah.
still as if I came to Glasgow. Well, I did come to Glasgow, but I was eating. So it was about 55. I'm 59 now. As if I still lived in Glasgow. Do you know what I mean? You know, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
tour where the Mondays or something like that, and you know, I'd get in late at night and you know, order a burger and then go to sleep. You can't behave like that as your body gets older.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you get.
that's the
You know
thing.
what
I think that's what I think it is with my body. Like
I mean?
it's only started in the last like year,
Yeah,
that I've started having issues like with having like a really sensitive stomach and stuff
yeah.
like that. And then I think, oh, maybe it was all those years of
It's
this and
great
that.
when you're young, though. It's great. I mean, to be fair, you are still pretty young, dude. Because you mid
Yeah,
thirties.
of course.
Yeah, you're
I'm
still
turning I'm turning
deep down.
40.
But you know the thing is, when you are young, in your 20s, you just you just think you're going to go on forever. It's a great time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's just like no matter what you do to yourself, you go to bed and you get better. Do you know what
And
I mean?
you get back up. Yeah. I mean, I
Yes.
remember, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm turning 40 this year and I still think that's insanity. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just lucky I still look like I'm not 40.
Well, I mean, like you know, the thing with women now, you know, it's like it's quite difficult to tell people's ages anymore. For me, but I'm old, you know. But you know, sometimes you look at somebody and you go, they could be 40, but they could be
Yeah.
20. I just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, especially some of the
Yeah.
girls in bands, and you meet them and stuff like that, and like you're talking business to them, and you're like, I don't even know what age they are. Do you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
said they're between 20 and 40. You
Yeah.
don't know. Do you know?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, and it doesn't help as well that I'm so short as well, because you always like every time you see me, you're like, "Are you shrinking?" Yeah, because everyone just assumes you're little, and like
Yeah,
it
you don't
comes with
really
the
know
age.
it for a lot of people as well, you know. And that's always the fascinating thing about you know, film stars or rock stars or anything like that, because you
Yeah.
assume that everybody's, you know what I mean, tall, dark, and handsome,
Yeah,
all those things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's not the case. You meet
No.
Daryl, and he's fucking 5'2". Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're stacked heels.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah, it's totally everyone's totally different. And it's
Yeah.
funny, I mean, I got to meet some really funny people thanks to you. Um, you know, you actually got me into the Courtney concert when she came.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and we dropped off a gift for her, but and stuff, and she was like messaged, and she was like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
so that was super awesome because I'd been too young, or I wasn't around in the city when she played with Hole to be able to see her.
All right.
So you know,
Was that back in the 90s? Yeah, yeah.
mm,
Yeah, because
yeah,
you'd be a kid then.
I was like 13,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I lived in the country, and you know my parents
Yeah,
weren't gonna send me up to the city
yeah, yeah.
to see that, you know. And so, you know, at least I got to see her, even if it wasn't with all the band. So you know, that was amazing. And then of course I got to see Jesus Mary Chain so many times. And then that time, I was thinking then the first time when I come and met you in Glasgow
I don't
and
even
for
remember
Mary
that.
Chain. Yeah,
Did
we
you come
went.
up for that?
That was when Scott was there, Scott from Black Rider, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I realized he was in the band now as
Oh,
well.
did you come up to? Did you come up for Barrowlands?
Yeah, and then
Don't remember.
I came up another time for them again, and it was
Yeah.
when the guys from Super Furry Animals were there.
Oh, no, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and the beautiful
Oh,
is
yeah,
it
yeah, 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 yeah.
is it Estelle?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
I
she's
lo
in that.
She's in the
Can't
other
remember.
band, Zephyr Wolves.
Yeah, she's in that band. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was incredible, and I've got to say, we're watching from the little stairs,
That's a
and
tram shed, that one. Yeah, yeah.
there, Trenchard, yeah,
That was a good
and
gig.
that
That
was
wasn't well
great. That was
attended,
a
though.
great gig, but it got better because lovely because Estelle had a whole bunch of mushrooms she brought in a jar, and she was just feeding them to her and me, and so we were like, yeah, at the
Ah,
front, loving life. Um, yeah, and then I think that yeah, we came back and sat in the bus afterwards.
all right,
Yeah,
right, right.
and you introduced me to I can't remember his name, but I think the one of the main ones from Super Furry. I couldn't
Oh,
understand anything he was
that,
saying. Cause
that was
yeah,
there. Yeah,
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 because he was speaking Welsh and I couldn't understand anything. And they were trying to teach me words, and I was like, I
yeah. They're a
nothing.
great band. They should be out touring. Well, everybody should be out touring, but when this is actually finally over, well, I don't know when that'll be though. But they should be touring because it's like
Yeah,
it's such a good band. They're still young. Do you know what I mean? They should still be
yeah,
making. You know what I mean,
yeah,
they're not really doing it. Well, they're not doing anything at the moment. And then Griff's got a solo career, which goes pretty well, but the rest of them are not really doing anything. And
yeah, yeah,
they should be. You know what I mean? They should be doing it. Good.
yeah. They're fun, and I heard that they were doing the kiddie raves.
Kitty raves as well. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
The what did they call it? Big fish, little fish?
yeah, yeah.
That's what that was called. Yeah, 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 yeah,
That's super fun. Like we
yeah.
had one band here that called Regurgitator, and they were doing a similar thing. I keep knocking stuff over from underneath me. And they started doing sort of a similar thing, but not rave, kind of like a little rock thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was yeah, and I remember yeah, so good. And then of course when Primal Scream played Bristol, and that you got me into that festival, and I got to meet Tricky, and I'm
Oh,
still
right,
like
right, right.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Who
was
did they play with? Did they play with
they played
Tricky
with
and Massive
Tr
Attack?
Massive Attack,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tricky. I'm trying to think.
Was Paul Well?
Oh
Was Paul
no,
Well playing that night? Yeah.
no. But the chick Jenny Beth from
Oh, yeah, yeah.
thingy, she got up and played with Primal Scream. So
Brilliant.
that was amazing, and that was like that was awesome because I hadn't seen Primal Scream since They came out and they toured. It was a big day out, and they played Exterminator. Oh,
All right.
that was an amazing tour.
That was
That
about
was,
2000, that's 20 years ago. With your
yeah,
team, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. I would no, I was over 18. I think I was in uni, so I was
All right.
19, 20. I was like swastika eyes, and it was like at the end in the big tent.
Yeah, man.
It was bloody amazing. It's one of
That's a
that.
great record, to be honest. You know what I mean?
I love that one, and that of course is the one that the lovely DJ, I've forgotten his name now, that passed away,
Andy,
worked on.
Andy
Yeah,
Miller, yeah.
Andy. Yeah,
But Andy,
and
I
that
don't think Andy's on that record. I don't think he produced anything on that record. But Screamadelica is all. I mean, it's practically his record, isn't it? Him and Jimmy Miller's record, that one. You know.
yeah, yeah.
That's the
But
pop scream, though. I mean, the joke is though, Primals are not really a pop band. They're a kind of
no,
mad. They're a mad band. But
yeah,
the only reason that sort of worked was when they were on drugs. They sort of made pop, which is kind of mad because that whole period when they made that album, which was about 89 to 91,
yeah,
they were everybody else, which is often not, on ecstasy, and it sort of
yeah,
softened their attitude to everything. Do you know what I mean? Because by the time the drugs had changed and it was like more like cocaine and heroin by 1994, it was harder primals, and it was like it was still poppy rock pop, but it wasn't out and out pop with Screamadelica. And that period of Primal Scream, that's my favourite period really. But it was only really pop because the drugs that were all taken, which was kind
yeah,
of acid mainly.
yeah. Because it was it
I
the,
can get
that
them pop, you know.
because I was gonna say, wasn't that the story you told it before where you were trying to convince Bobby, this is to go that direction, like, and then you took him to to one of the raves.
I think the drugs changed them really, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
you
like
took
I
him.
was
Yeah,
resisting it for a bit. I
you
would go
took.
to parties with him in like beginning in '89, and I'd already converted completely to acid house. You know, at this
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
I went to Hacienda every weekend, and I was at some party with them, and I was putting on acid house mixtapes, and
yeah,
they were like taking them out and putting on like the MC5, and it kind of went on like that the whole night. And I thought the only way I'm going to get them is take them to a few, like nights, raves sort of
yeah.
thing, like at night outs. And I did, and Bob eventually, he went. You know what I mean?
Once you gave him some.
The one that resisted it was Robert Young, who's unfortunately died now. But Robert was really resisting it. They'd already had two big hits with Andy
Yeah,
Weather. They'd had Loaded and they'd come together.
yeah,
And Rob was still saying, "I'm going to leave the band because it was sold out." You know what I mean? Mad shit.
yeah.
And then eventually, I think when the third hit came in, Robert just shut the fuck up and got on with it because it was
Got on.
obviously
Yeah,
work in a big way.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, I mean, the I fell in love with. I mean, I love those songs, but I remember falling in love with Bobby when they released cry yourself blind or whatever it is. I'm gonna
Yeah.
cry myself blind. That film clip just brought like this thing about him that made him just like this
But
real.
you know what, Renee? Right? I mean, he's my oldest friend, right? I love
Yeah,
Bobby. But the truth is, because he is my oldest friend, I remember when we were both at school, we are a couple of fucking geeks, right?
yeah,
That's who we
yeah,
are, right?
yeah. I
I
love
think
the
I've
old
always
photos
been
of you guys.
really ultimately, I mean, a record collector, geeky guy. So has Bob. But at a certain point, he managed to do the rock star thing and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
people like himself going, God, he's so beautiful, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. But
yeah.
it's like, but the truth is, Bob was really, and still is really, whenever I run into him, he's a geeky guy, just loves music and
Yeah,
records. He still goes to record shops. You know how you get the over 50s guy
yeah,
probably looks like a bald head going in and buying £25 albums of
yeah,
the West Coast pop art experimental band sort of vibe, right? Or is that what they were called? I can't remember. But it's like the 13th floor elevators.
mm.
That is Bob, except he's still got his hair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So he's kind
yeah.
of
He's
got that
still
rock
got his
star
hair.
going on, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, he was kind of fascinating that he managed to kind of because that's who he really is. But people are into him because
mm.
that's how he projects him with the band,
Yeah, yeah. But I remember you showing me heaps of photos of you guys when you were
Uh,
young at clubs and like young, just hanging out, little nerds. And I
yeah,
love that though
I met
because
Bob really young, man. I was 12 and Bob was 11. I met him years ago, man. You
so
know what I mean?
amazing that you're still
That's a long.
friends. That's a
When we
good,
both, I was in a year above him. I think I was in a year above him. Pretty sure I was in a year above him. He might have been in the same year as me, but I don't think he was. I'm 9 months older than him, and yeah, I think it was. I think he was the year below me, and he came in from Springburn in Glasgow to that school, Kings Park
yeah,
Secondary School, and that's what it was like. You know what I mean? We weren't that close at that point because we were okay with each other, but you know, that's the way it was. And then and then punk happened, and then we became great friends. Do you know what I mean? You know, because of the punk thing. You know. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What punk stuff were you guys into back then?
I just did all the stuff that was obvious, really. You know, like the Pistols, the Clash,
Pistols,
the
yeah,
Jam, the Subway Sex. Do you know the Generation X? It was like
yeah.
the adverts,
Yes,
Dead Boys. Do you know what I mean?
I'm still obsessed with that girl from the adverts.
Oh yeah, gay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
I think she's my face. I think she's now called. Well, obviously she's not called Gay Advert anymore. She's
yeah.
moved to
No.
Thursday, right? But I think she's called Gay Jones. Gaye Jones. She's on my Facebook. I'll try. If you want to talk to her, do one of them. Might be interested.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
I'll introduce you to her. Yeah.
yeah. Sweet. Yeah, she's yeah. I was obsessed, totally obsessed with that, and I was a
Yeah.
huge Pistols fan as well.
Well, yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well,
I always thought they were awesome. Like,
I
you
still love
know,
Johnny. You know, I mean, he comes on his Facebook during this,
yeah, yeah,
you know, public image Facebook and has a
yeah,
4 hour chat like this sort of thing, and I still watch it. Do you know what I mean? Even though
yeah,
I probably don't agree with that much he says anymore, really deep down, you know, because it's like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think the world's so binary, you know what I mean? I don't think the world is black and white, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yes, no. But it's like, but I love Rotten. I just love him. I mean, I'll never get bored watching Johnny Rotten, do you know what I mean?
Well, he's one of those crazy characters. He's like
Yeah.
uh you know, what was the you know it and I've forgotten it now. The manager who
Malcolm.
Malcolm, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
knew
like,
Malcolm really well.
cause
I know them all. I know John a bit, not really well, but I've met him a few times, and I've helped out him a couple of times with different things. Um, and then I signed Glenn. I know Cookie, and pals with Jonesy, but I
yeah,
was big mates with Malcolm. Probably the closest with any of them. I was that Malcolm was the one I was really pals with, to be honest.
mm.
You know, I
Cause
mean, I hung out with Malcolm
he's
so
a
much.
character.
He's mad. It's great.
I would love to be
You'd have loved him.
sitting
I
at
know
a
you like guy, Renee. You'd have loved Malcolm McCann. He was a fucking maniac. Do you know what I mean?
I would love to be sitting at a
I
table
put him up for the Mayor of London. You know
with
that?
Malcolm
Yeah.
and you.
I put him up for the Mayor of London.
I know, I remember you saying, yeah. And
Yeah.
he didn't get it in the end.
He was pretty good though, because it was like he was standing on issues like legalising brothels and free Guinness in libraries and stuff. Just insane Malcolm shit. And then we ended up probably he was polling at 7% of the vote. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I got Sony. I had went in one of my last acts of mischief at Creation Sony. So I got them to put 20 grand up so Malcolm could stand.
Oh, that's so good.
I put
Yeah.
Malcolm up for it, and then one of the best bits was that you know I was always getting asked on Question Time in the 90s. I still kind of occasionally do now, but I've never actually ever been on. But they just asked me 3 or 4 weeks before to go on and talk in the 90s at Question Time, and I turned it down, but I had the number and I phoned them up and I went, Malcolm McLaren for mayor, and he got on Question Time because I got him on. And then we were in the car park outside, and Malcolm, he is one of the most fascinating people I think I've ever met.
Yeah.
Whatever you told Malcolm, half an hour later, he could go in and verbatim remember what you said, as if he knew what he's talking about. So
Yeah.
it was me and this political guy called, who was like, you know, like his kind of agent stroke, you know, we were basically giving Malcolm what you're supposed to say if they asked you this or that.
This or
And
that, yeah.
it was a guy called Peter Coulshaw. We were out in the car park at the BBC, just saying, if they say this about, you know, if this is a Tory policy, say that, and blah, blah, blah. And Malcolm, we both went, God, this is going to be a car crash. And Malcolm was fucking amazing. He went in and really was brilliant. I wish I had a thing of that. That would have been great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like an actual,
Wish
so
I
you
had
could look back on it. Yeah, yeah. Because it's hard to believe when you think about it.
yeah.
But you know, maybe if he ran now, he'd win.
He might become Prime Minister. I watched
Yeah,
that Trump documentary last night about called The American Dream. It's on Netflix.
yes,
4 parts.
yeah,
I suppose the only mistake Donald really made was he stood for president, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? You know, because
yeah,
up to that part, he's an arch chancellor. Just like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I don't like Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong, right? I don't
yeah,
approve
yeah,
it whatsoever, right? But up to he was sort of the lovable rogue up until
yeah,
he wanted to become the president. Because when he was doing The Apprentice, he was funny, and all the other stuff was just he was just an arch chancellor that he was getting away with.
yeah,
It was kind of
yeah,
entertaining. And
yeah,
then of course, the other stuff now, you can't be down with what he's, you know, he's
yeah.
too
What he's
much.
doing? Yeah, yeah.
You know
It's
what I mean?
like,
He's
what have you
bananas,
done?
but I mean, he probably caused that riot, but he has, you know, because he wound the
Yeah,
police. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cray, absolutely crazy. Um, I had something else to say. So you have so many amazing stories. I was trying to think because when you were here, of course, you met up with you met Jane, who used to work with you, who I know here.
Yeah. I don't know Jane that well, really, to be honest. I mean, I've met her a lot of different times, but that was probably one of the more me and Jane just hanging because I don't know her. Do you know what I mean? I've known you probably a bit better. I've hung out with you a few times then. But I'd
Yeah, yeah,
been in the same club and I'd got let her DJ. She was always a very nice person, but I didn't get to know her. I was just used to say, "Oh, you're on in 10 minutes." Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I didn't know her. That kind of that one little night was I hung out with more than I've ever hung out. You know what I mean?
yeah. It was a good. That was a good. It was a really good night, and such a. It
Yeah,
was a good reception, like
yeah,
a really
yeah.
good reception. Um, yeah, it was great, and like all these expats from the UK and everywhere were all there.
There was a bit of it up on my Instagram that night. It was a funny night, man. She was actually really good at interviewing me. I thought, you know,
Yes,
because
she
she
was. Yeah, yeah,
kind of got me quite well, and
yeah,
you know that crowd was good, man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
can you imagine having like 100 and what was it, 170 people in a
yeah.
tiny room now? Do you know what I mean? It was,
Yeah,
you know,
no, no
that's,
chance, no
yeah,
chance.
I went a long way through that at the moment. When do you think we're going to have gigs back? I don't think it's to the
I
end of
don't
next year.
reckon it's next year. Yeah. I reckon later next year.
I know I've
Because
got a few,
I
and I've said to them, I said, I don't think it's going to be to the back end of next year. And they've went, no, the pubs are opening, it's going, and you're like, I don't think the pubs are opening. I think they're putting you in a field where
yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah,
and they're going to serve you beer till it's September, and then the pubs ain't going to be the pubs. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
because
I think we're a long way from it. I think we're a long way from getting it sorted. I think we'll need
yeah,
medication to, we'll need the meds to, you know, to
definitely.
negate. You know, if you take this drug and that drug, you know, you're not. Do you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I read something the other day about them thinking about like you being going into a big stadium, and as
yeah,
you walk through the door, you walk through like sprinklers type thing that
yeah, man.
mist you with all this sanitizer stuff before you go into
Yeah,
the show. And like, who knows what will happen? Like, I know lots of people have tours ready, like for like March, April next year, but they're all like on the ready to cancel if they have to,
yeah,
because you really can't tell. It depends how everyone bounces back, doesn't it? Like, and like I said, we lifted those restrictions. It only took 2 weeks, and then now we're
yeah.
back again. So yeah, you kind of
Yeah, I've got a feeling, Renee, that it's going to be kind of mad. I think I can easily see it being a second spike. You know what I mean? You know, I think
yeah,
you might get to August, early August, and the government go, we've got to move this and that because it's because I think people actually think when it changes in July the 4th, I think people think that's it done, and I
Yeah,
don't think we're
no.
anywhere near it. I think the government know what they're doing. The government are like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think in
we'll
terms
deal
of,
with it going forward. You know what I mean? I think
yeah,
I don't mean they're good. I just mean I think the government are a bit like, well, let's just get them out, get the economy going, and if people get ill,
yeah.
they get ill. That's it's kind of fucking cynical, basically. But I
Mm.
don't know what it is. What it is. What can we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Australia's been kind of lucky because we've been so strict.
I think your government's done pretty well with it, for what I can see. Do you know what I mean?
New Zealand did amazing, and and then we're just behind New Zealand, but like we've just been super strict. And like I said, 2 weeks we fucked up, and they're like, nah, banned, back again. Like, so,
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
back in
And
detention until you learn your lesson.
you'll be fine, Renee. It's like, it'll be like Australia's barely got it, to be honest. Do you know what I mean?
What's that?
Australia's barely got it. You've barely got any COVID at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We just had a bunch of breakouts in the last 3, 4 days from
Yeah, yeah,
protests and like
yeah,
people going to work when they know they've got COVID and shouldn't because they
yeah.
don't take the day off and stuff like that. And then it's sort of, oh, they've gone,
It's going to be interesting to see where we go after. I've got a feeling it's not going to be ever the same as it was. It's
no,
just,
I don't think so either. And
I think it's such a kind of like it's going to change the way people do things. I think,
yeah, yeah. Like, and a lot of people I've been talking to on these interviews have said the same thing. They think
Yeah,
music's going to be very different
yeah,
when we finally come out the other end, when there's international touring and things like that. Things are gonna be a lot
yeah.
different. Um, I was gonna say I'd love to hear this story again because it's one of my favorites. Um, the story about when you did the huge Oasis gig on the field when everything was just next level crazy and they
Oh, you mean
brought you
Network?
in. Yeah, when they brought you in on the
Yeah.
helicopter and
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, that Network was. I mean, I don't think any of us really understood what was really going on. Do you know how big that was? I think we were all coming off the back of thinking it would go on forever, Renee. Do you know what I mean? I probably was anyway, and I think the Gallagher's did. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the Oasis management team maybe thought, fucking get it in quick before it. But we kind of thought it was always going to go on forever. I did anyway.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
why would you, in a way, which had such a run, man, you know what I mean?
Mm,
We'd put the first album out and they had sold initially 7 million, which was huge. And then
mm.
we'd put Morning Glory out and around the time we got to Deadbust, we'd done 20 odd million. I think it's 23 million now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we rolled in, and then we started from about midway through 95, midway through 95, they started playing bigger and bigger shows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It started with Earl's Court, and that was like the back end of 95. I think it was like Morning Glory had come out a week, and then we did 2 Earl's Courts, and they were sold out, blah, blah, blah. And it was really, you were really aware at that point, because
Yeah.
just on the level of like, I'd never worked with any band that had the level of other massive people being into it. So at that gig, I was sitting watching it, and but 2 seats along was Madonna, and about 3 seats along was you too. And you're sitting in the middle of that going, I think this is going off, in a world
Yeah.
thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it breezed through. We got early that year, April, we got to Main Road, and it was like 2 gigs at 40,000 people a night. We sold out, but it was Manchester, and then we put Loch Lomond on sale, and we put Nebworth on sale, and they sold, and that's how we ended up at Nebworth. You know what I mean? It's just that every gig that they put on around that time, it just kept getting bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I just remember seeing the aerial footage
Oh yeah,
of
yeah,
Nebworth and being like, far out. Like, I just can't imagine like flying into that and being like, yeah, we're about to play, and then looking down and going, holy mother, that's who we're playing to.
yeah.
Holy shit! Like it
Well,
must have
luckily
been.
it's all on tape. So do you know what
Yeah, I think I
I
watched.
found this insane site in Japan. I've got the link. I'll send you it later on, right?
Yeah,
And it's got all that stuff, like stuff that, I hadn't seen the Nebworth concert, complete for 20 years, right?
yeah, yeah,
There was a tape around 20 years ago, a VHS tape that I
yeah.
saw, but that was it. I mean, and this was I was a few years after it. I saw,
Mm.
this tape, and it was the concert, and then I went on this Japanese site the other day, uh, sure enough, that concert, so everything's there, man.
Everything
All
there.
the
Yeah,
documentaries that have been taken down for legal reasons or whatever in England, not about Oasis, just any band or anything like that,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all on the site. Fucking great site.
Yeah, send it to me. I
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's a little bit. I think there was a little bit of Nebworth in the most recent Oasis documentary. There was
yeah,
a
there is.
time. There was a bit of it.
I think, but yeah, towards the end of that documentary, there is.
Yeah, there's a little bit in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then yeah, and it's just like amazing. I was gonna say, did you see that Liam washing his hands to
yeah,
see?
it's funny. Yeah, I thought it was funny. It's funny,
That
yeah.
was
But
hilarious. I was
yeah,
like, oh my God, that's gold. And because yeah, I always have, I've said this to you numerous times. I love the Gallagher's, and I love them fighting, and I love the way they
ah,
talk to each other. And but I've always been a Liam, and I know you're really close with Noel, and but
I don't really sit with anybody really. To be honest, I like them both. To be absolutely honest, you know
yeah,
what I mean. I mean, you would do because I kind of signed them in the beginning, and I liked them both. I mean, the one I'm closer to
mm,
is no. I haven't seen
no,
Liam for
yeah,
real, but I'm close with no. I mean, I talk to him a lot. You know what I mean? But
yeah, yeah,
I mean, he's in lockdown at the moment. Just battering through all the old songs that he's had lying about. So he's actually
mm.
fine. I mean, he's probably like most artists, aren't they? Like they're going to just get in and like, oh, I'll finish it off now. Do you know what I mean?
And that's what, yeah, everyone seems to be doing
Yeah,
that. They're either like pulling out all the old stuff or doing new stuff and then
yeah,
like playing and doing all that thing. And
yeah.
then yeah, and then of course I watched the Liam doco. Have you watched that?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah. I watched it in
Yeah. Did
iTunes. I think it was. Yeah.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
did
good?
you like it?
Yeah.
I think I'm in love with their mum and that she lives in the same house. And then they had the same bedroom and it has Liam and Noel on it. I was like, this is
Yeah, I mean, she was
amazing.
always pretty real, man. I mean, she was. I don't think she couldn't
Yeah,
pretend that she tried, and she was always pretty nice to me. She was fine to me. But she
yeah,
was.
and
She always was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of them bought a house for her. I think it might have been Liam,
yeah,
but one
Liam
of
wanted
them
to buy a
bought her a
house, and she
house.
was like,
She went,
"So I want it."
I don't want a house, but can I have a gate?
Yeah,
Did you? Yeah, I think that
yeah,
happened.
yeah. It's so good. Yeah, I was just like, "Oh my God, I love it." And I just let and because of course there's the third Gallagher brother, and he's really tight with Liam, and it's
He's a
just
good
like,
guy, actually. Paul
yeah,
Gallagher. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's a hard gig being one of their brothers. God, how hard
Oh,
is
it
that?
would be. It would
But
be.
uh, but he's a good guy. He's his own person, to be honest. He's quite a funny guy.
Yeah, and he's
I
like
knew
so
I knew him in the
so
'90s
together.
quite well. I mean, I gave him a job, and and he worked with me, and we became kind of good pals, actually. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and yeah, he just seemed really cool. And then yeah, like watching that made me just go, oh, bloody hell, just make up, god damn it. But yeah, like just yeah, I love him. And even like I mean, the first record Liam did, I really liked. I actually
What's that?
bought the first Liam record. I actually really
Oh, yeah.
liked, as it were, and I bought it on vinyl and I play it a lot. It's a really clever, like because
But
I
the
mean,
songs
obviously,
are good on his solo records. You know what I mean? The
mm,
songs are pretty good. I think. You know what I mean? It's all right.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about Australia there. It's like, because you're like a nation, you can cut everything off. You know, like England has got, we still get
yeah,
people flying in and out everywhere. I mean, it's one of the reasons that we'll probably always have corona until they can find meds to stop it.
to figure it out, yeah.
But you could just, I think, once you cut everybody off for flying in, I think you could just open the country up. Surely, do you know what I mean?
I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah,
At the moment we're only accepting Australians coming back.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like there's no leaving and no one coming in, and that
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the biggest thing with the
I know
international
some
touring.
people that are still in Australia that went down there, decided
Yeah,
to stay, and they're like they're loving it, but they're still down there. Do you know what
yeah. I
I mean?
think the government seems to be pretty good with overseas people staying, because I've got a
Yeah.
few. There's a few people I know from America and stuff are here, and should have gone, but
If I
it's
had went any later, I might have stayed down there, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Because I was
yeah,
loving Perth. It's pretty
yeah,
cheap
yeah.
to stay in Perth, and made pals with a few people. Kind of
Mm,
probably went, I'll pay half the cost, let me stay in the house. Probably could have easily done it, you know what I mean? But it was
yeah,
just, I knew it was going on when I went down there in February, but it hadn't exploded because I was back by the 20th of
yeah.
February.
Because I mean, you
So
probably
if I'd went a couple of weeks later, I might have went, fuck it, I'll stay in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah, well, because you probably knew more about it than we even did. That we didn't even really know about it then when
I
you were
didn't
here.
know that much about it. A couple of people said to me, be careful, McGee. There are a couple,
Yeah, yeah,
and they made me buy hand sanitizer. But even when I was going, I mean, we were in, me and Daniel, my son, we were in Singapore in a restaurant, and they all had the masks on,
mm.
and you were like, God, they're a bit extreme.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were.
yeah,
At the time, me and Daniel were thinking, but I had the hand sanitizer, and then of course Daniel being Daniel, he fucking lost his, like coming before he came back.
yeah,
So we were
yeah,
sharing the hand sanitizer, and you could see Dan going, "Guys, going, you better use that hand sanitizer," and he's like, "You know what I mean?" He wasn't into it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's like all of a sudden it was just like everyone masks everywhere. Yeah, and it was kind of this
I've never
crazy
actually,
thing. But
I've
yeah,
never actually went out with a mask yet. You know what I mean? But I don't use
you
the
haven't?
public transport. I've only used the tube once
Yeah,
in April. I had to go and collect something there and back, and that was the beginning of the lockdown, and and it was empty. The tube, there was only 3 people on the tube. But I suppose if I had to be
yeah,
far away, then I would definitely wear a mask. You know what I mean? You have to in England. I think
yeah,
but I just don't use it. If I walk in to see my friends in the town, most of my mates live maybe 3-4 miles away, and it's the
yeah,
outskirts of the town. So it's like it's fine. You know, I mean, I can walk there, walk around, walk back.
yeah, yeah. It's not like, yeah, like I'll wear it when I'm going like right into the, like into the supermarket or like a big, and there's people everywhere. It's because I'm
You
just
probably
like,
love a mask, Brittany.
pardon?
Most women like getting the mask on, don't they? I've noticed that. Women are just like getting the fucking mask on.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I like get sick super easy. You know that. So it's like for me, I'm like, I'm like, I just don't want someone's gonna sneeze on me with this shit, and I'm gonna be in hospital for a month. Like,
Uh,
so I'm like, I got a
I'm
fashionable
friends with
like,
some people that say, like different girls that are like, if they sneeze on me, I'm going to go over and punch them, and you're like, you know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I'm getting a bit drastic like that. Like
Yeah.
I'll go to the supermarket and people want to stand right next to you, and you're like, back off, like So yeah, like I'm getting a bit like, oh.
Yeah,
um,
you are. I can see you getting.
yeah, I'm like pro mask. I'm getting real antsy about it. I was gonna say, did you want to obviously, like, I mean, I'm sure most people know, but now, Creation Records ended, and then you had,
It's always sort of went on, really. It's only now that I'm
yeah,
making
but now
sense of
you've,
that whole thing
yeah,
because I started the creation management thing
Yep.
83 or 84. Started creating songs, the publishing in 86. They've always been going.
Going on, yeah.
Creation Records was 83 to 99. Then it was Pop Tones. Then it
Yeah.
was like, I went to Wales, wrote a book, and then come back.
And he had then you
Reignited
had,
the management company properly. And
and you
then
had
started
death disco.
Creation's a sort of life, what really? I'm now only realising that's what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Because
mean?
yeah, after
I
Pop
didn't
Tones,
realise that for a
then
long time.
you did the death disco, didn't you? So I remember that was
Yeah,
really famous. That was really famous here. Death disco.
was it? Right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like
I don't know if it,
the place
but
to
you know
be at the
what, with
time.
Death Disco, I'm not sure. The Death Disco in Australia was a different thing. I think it
No,
was
no, we were
introduced.
thinking yours, not the one here, but yours.
Oh, right, was
Yeah,
it? All
yeah,
right, all
your one. Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Not the one
there
here.
was one, I think, in Australia that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I think.
no. Talking about your one, because I remember I had a friend who'd moved over to the UK, and he was going there all the time,
All
and he was
right,
just,
right, right, right.
yeah, and he was just like
I got it off
constantly,
a public image, though. It was Johnny Rotten. And, like,
yeah,
I phoned John up, this is about 99 or something, and went, oh, I'm going to, what was it? What did I say to him? I said, I'm going to start a label called Pop Tones.
hmm
And I went on a club called Radio 4, because that's what Death Disco was before. But it was Radio 4, and then it became Death Disco.
yeah,
And John was like, he must have thought, really, to be honest, have you not got any of your own ideas, you fucking mad bastard? He must have thought that. But I think he quite liked me, so he went, all right, just do that, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But I
When
did
I was,
phone him up and say, is that cool? And he went, all right.
that's awesome. No, when I actually went to Glasgow, it was funny. My cab driver remembered you. And then we went on a little tour, and I went past the hut where Oasis played, and all that kind of stuff. I fucking loved Glasgow, and like I thought it was great. Like I felt like everyone there had the same sense of humor, good music taste. Like I had a really good time at hanging out with some friends there. Um, Going to dive bars and stuff, and like, yeah, I loved it. I really loved the Glasgow people and the humor, because it was just like chatting to an Aussie
Yeah, no,
almost.
that's true. The Scottish thing is very similar to Australia's. Nothing's really
Mm.
off limits. If you ask
No,
a Scottish
it,
person something, they'll probably answer it.
yeah, it's just like, and everyone's like just pretty much like, everyone's straight down the
Yeah.
line. You're like,
And that's what I found in Australia, especially the people I got to know in Perth that were Aussies. They were
mm.
quite real. You'd say, why do you do that? And they'll tell you why they do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were really okay. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like just and of course, swearing is like second language, which is fine by me because I'm shocking. But like, yeah, just like, yeah, I had a great time there, and it was really great going around and like looking and seeing all that stuff. But I think a friend there might have had. I think I saw a Death Disco big huge poster thing there. But
Jane used to DJ there. Jane Gazzo used to DJ there.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know what she was doing in England. I told a great story.
she was there.
She kind of rubbed it out, but it's a true story.
The one about the Courtney Love and the. I
Town.
love it.
Courtney was in summer, living in London that summer, right? And she
Yeah.
said, "Hey, get me a PA." And I went, "I don't really know any." And she went, "Okay, just get me a girl that's cool and can basically put up with me." And I went, "All right." So I phoned Jane Gardner. We wanted a break. And I went, "Jane, I've got a gig for you. It's not an obvious one. PA to Courtney Love." And she went, "Done, I'm doing it." And then what happened within about, I don't blame Jane at all. I mean, Courtney around then was a handful, you know what I mean? And not like now, she's sweet as anything now, clean. But back then she was quite mental. And I think between the two of them, they ended up in the street with two or three fire engines with the flat half burning down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she put that's right. She put the kettle on. Courtney thought that the kettle was one of the ones that you have to put on on the gas, but it was an electric kettle. So she put an electric kettle that was plugged into the power on the stove, and it caught on fire. Yeah, I remember that.
No,
And
she
then
was
that was it.
mental around that time. She was fucking mad, you know. So I could see she wasn't there, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, but yeah, it was hilarious. It's like one of the best stories. I love that one. But like, I'm always like, oh. But I
I
mean,
think I
even
was amazed I remembered that. Do you remember when I
yeah,
said it? I think she
yeah.
was like, fuck, I remembered it.
I wonder if she does. She probably doesn't remember. Unless he's like, oh, you're that bloody Aussie chick who tried to burn my flat down.
I don't know what she was doing in London around that time.
She was, I think she was working for,
XFM.
yeah, she was like
Yeah.
she was doing radio and stuff.
But
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, because she was, from the way that I was told it, maybe by her, she was quite successful in Australia at that time.
Yeah.
So it's an unusual move to go Australia, London.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You would
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
actually, most people would just go, I've got my foot in the ladder, I'll just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess because Australia, you get to a certain point and there's no more point to go. Maybe she thought that
I
wasn't.
went to Australia in terms about 2011, about 9 years, 9 years ago, and it was just right after the Tottenham riots, literally the week after, and I went down to Japan, and then I flew down to Brisbane, and I was speaking at this big conference. Have I ever told you this story?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think you have, but keep going.
I was speaking at Big Sound,
Yes.
and it paid me
Big
six
sound. Yeah.
grand and first class travel,
Yeah.
5-star hotel. I was always talking for an hour, so why wouldn't you go? I've never been to Australia, so so I went, fuck it, I'll just go. Because every time I was supposed to go in the 90s, it never happened because there would always be a crisis of with a band and like, oh, he's in hospital or
Yeah.
there's always something that was going on. I never It was 2 or 3 times I was due to go down. I
Yeah.
was late for the primals. I never got down there. So then this one time, the money was right and it was like brilliant, first class travel. I thought, I may as well just go. Went down there and then I ended up on stage and there was this British girl called Jen Long who's fucking no longer in the game, I presume, because nobody's heard of her for about 5 years. But she was there, and I think she was tight with the Big Sound people who were a bit pissed off that I was basically just going down there and not really giving a fuck. I just like, I went down, I shook a few hands, but really, I was just hanging out in Australia with Belinsky.
Yeah.
And he got on stage, and then she asked me this question, which was along the lines of, what did you think of the Pias fire? Right, and you got to understand, I've been in Japan, and then I've been in what do you call it? I've been in Brisbane, so I'm out of sync with it. I've only got my phone.
What's going on? Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on, so I just went. No, did she say? She didn't say Pias fire. She went, how is the Sony fire? And because I hate Sony, I said, oh, I thought it was a beautiful piece of work. And the next time she printed that I'd said it was the Pias fire. What I didn't know was Sony kept Pias records in the warehouse. Yeah. And she was trying to say that I was down on the indie thing, which I wasn't. It's like, I was just getting a free holiday, to be absolutely honest. And it blew up to such an extent that it was like it was in the front pages.
I remember.
And I ended up on the TV through it. Mad shit. And then I'd only been there a week, Rennie, right? And I was going through Sydney Airport. I'd flown in from Brisbane to Sydney. I was walking through the airport. And literally, because it'd been on the TV, young people were going, all right, McGee. And I was like, this is too psychedelic. I've only been here for a week. And like, these people think I'm an agitator, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just going to say, we're getting our little warning. So what I'll do is I'll hang up and call you back.
All right, mate. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Be back in a sec. Bye.